Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content.
July 4th, 1910. Reno, Nevada. The fight of the century. The bell rings and a roaring crowd erupts as Jim Jeffries steps out from his corner. He is tall and strong, a peerless fighter, the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world for years, with a record of 19 wins and 0 losses, with 16 of those wins coming via knockout. When he retired a little over a year ago, he had not been knocked down one time in his career. In the other corner, standing at 6'1", 212 pounds, is the Galveston Giant, the current world champion, the first black heavyweight champion in boxing history, Jack Johnson. The crowd boos. They hate him. The audience at this fight has come here for one reason: to watch Jack Johnson lose. Jack Johnson doesn't care. He's smiling. Jeffries throws a punch at him. Johnson dodges, lands a solid right cross across the former champ's jaw. It rattles him. Jim Jeffries was billed in this fight as the Great White Hope. His opponent, Jack Johnson, is no longer smiling. He's laughing. He can't wait to crush that hope. Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell the badass history of badasses. My name is Ben Thompson, and I am joined by a writer, comedian, and longtime friend of me personally and also of the podcast. We are joined today by Awesome Mike Primavera. Mike, thank you for coming back on the show.
It is awesome to be back. I love this podcast.
We are talking about somebody pretty cool today. So we did our 100th episode a couple of months ago, and you'd sent in a list of people you wanted to talk about. And so we started, kind of planning out who we were going to discuss over the course of the summer. And when you were adding suggestions, you said one of the names that came up for you was you wanted to talk about Jack Johnson. And I think we need to stipulate that this is not the banana pancakes guy we're talking about today.
Yeah. Decisively not badass. I mean, I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but
he's probably fine, right? But it's not the vibe we're going for here. Ron Burgundy's right hand is not named after the banana pancakes guy. It is named for the Galveston Giants, one of the greatest and largely unappreciated boxers of all time. And I've talked about this before. We did Jim Thorpe on the episode, or we did an episode on Jim Thorpe at one point. And one of the things about Jack Johnson and this era of sports heroes, because he's a boxing champion from the early 1900s, is that we do have video of him fighting, but we don't have a lot of video of him. And so I don't know if you have anybody in particular that this makes you think of, Mike, but for me, my dad would always talk to me about Wilt Chamberlain. Like, he saw Wilt Chamberlain play, and there's not a lot of video of Wilt playing. There's some photographs and stuff, but my dad was like, if you saw this guy play, and they talk about this with Jim Thorpe as well, like there's nothing like it. You've never seen anybody be that dominant over the other people, because now there's generally parity among athletes. Some guys are superhuman, slightly more superhuman than others. But at this time period, there were people who were just so much better, and we really can't appreciate it as much because there's not a video of Michael Jordan dunking from the foul line or whatever. So yeah, can you think of anybody in your life that those stories come up for you?
No, the very first person I thought of was Wilt Chamberlain, because the few videos that there is, you're like, oh man, it was like when you play in the driveway with your uncle when you're 8. You're like, oh man, I really don't have a chance. This guy doesn't even have to play 70% and he's gonna just dominate.
Yes, exactly.
And that's how it looks from, like you said, there's not a lot of video of Jack Johnson, but the video there is, he's smiling, he's talking to the crowd. It just looks like he's boxing a child. And these are the best boxers available.
Right. The best boxers on the planet. And he is treating them like they're WWE opponents.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing about, like, he's probably one of the most fearless people as far as like badasses go. But
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, nobody would be talking about him if he couldn't also fight. And that was the thing, is like, he was such a good defensive boxer that you never really saw anybody catch him with anything.
Yes, exactly. The Dennis Rodman effect, where like if Dennis Rodman wasn't actually good at basketball, he'd have been so much of a headache for his team they'd gotten rid of him. But he's so good. He was such a good defensive rebounder that like you just have to put up with it.
Yeah.
To the point where if he's on your team, you love him. And if you're playing against him, you hate him. But if he's on your team, you like, I know, he's awesome. You don't understand. Rodman's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's who we're talking about. So Jack Johnson was the first black athlete to break the color barrier. He fought and defeated white boxers in 1908 with old school leather gloves. He became the first black heavyweight boxing champion of the world. And he did this 40 years before Jackie Robinson ever saw a pitch in Major League Baseball, at a time when pro games weren't played at night because stadium lighting hadn't been invented yet. So, and this is 1908, and he's a black athlete beating up white athletes, and it was such a, like, it freaked out the American media so much that the New York Times issued an editorial demanding a, quote, great white hope rise up and defeat him.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the phrase was coined. I mean, this guy was such a problem that racists were like, we need anybody. Like, can any of you beat this guy?
Is there a single white person on the planet that can defeat this guy? And the answer was no.
No.
He was champion for 6 years. He knocked out chump after chump, was the world heavyweight champion. And he also played in a jazz band, owned a nightclub, drove a hot rod, had a pet leopard that he would walk down the streets of New York City with like a glass of champagne in one hand and the leopard lead in the other. And he apparently got it on with like movie stars like Mae West and apparently Mata Hari, like the German spy from World War I, the chick from Moulin Rouge, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is basically like, I think kind of like all the badasses you feature, he's somebody that stands out of their time. Like,
yes,
he acts in a way that people just can't wrap their head. They're like, what is happening right now? This guy, you're not supposed to do that. And he was just like, right. I don't care.
Yes, exactly. And it's a thing that you can see today from big time movie stars, regardless, white, black, whatever, like, big movie stars act like this. Big sports athletes kind of are showy and kind of the Muhammad Ali was whatever, 70 years after this guy. And that was kind of the archetype for like, here's, a kind of a showy showman, right? You're not just an athlete, you're also an entertainer and a showman. And he's doing this in 1908 when people did not do this. And this was not commonly done.
I mean, he was born to slave parents. The Civil War wasn't that long ago. Like, the U.S. had given up on Reconstruction. This is the Jim Crow South, where like they're lynching people constantly. African Americans get lynched, and he acts in a way that he's like, I don't care. I'm going to do me, which is wild. Yeah. I mean, to do that now, you're like, oh, okay, this guy's confident. But back then, like, literally every day someone could have killed him. And he was like, I don't care.
And they wanted to. They were sending him death threats. They were sending him, people wanted him to, like, they wanted to kill him. And he just was absolutely fearless. So we're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Jack Johnson, who is kind of, like you said, a man out of his time. He is doing things that we think about when we talk about Jackie Robinson and Muhammad Ali and people like that. Although he is doing this in 50 years, 70 years before them. He's doing this in 1908, which is, we'll get into the details of it, but it is absolutely mind blowing. And when we get back, we're gonna talk about that. Welcome back to Badass of the Week. We are talking to Mike Primavera about the boxer Jack Johnson. So Arthur John Johnson was born March 31st, 1878 in Galveston, Texas. He is the third of 9 kids to Henry and Tina Johnson, both of whom had been slaves, enslaved people in the time before the Civil War. But Henry Johnson actually fought in the Civil War against the South to help fight for his own freedom. And after the war, him and his wife were working as janitors, dishwashers, jobs like that. Not making a lot of money, kind of barely scraping by. And as you said, Mike, this is kind of Jim Crow laws, and maybe we should kind of explain what that means.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically like segregation is the rule of the land, and like blacks are free, but they're not allowed to mix. You're supposed to stay in your place, and that's pretty much the rule of the land, and you don't step outside of that.
Yes, there's not a lot of mobility. This is not a land of opportunity. But for Jack Johnson growing up, he doesn't really see it that way. So he's growing up and his life's hard. He goes to school for a little bit. He's getting into fights in school. He's growing up in and around the docks of Galveston, Texas. He leaves school after a few years and starts working on the docks in Galveston. It's hard work, loading cargo crates onto boats, that sort of thing. And he was getting into fights in school. He would get into fights there was like gangs in his area, and at some point he starts getting into like bare knuckle fist fights with his coworkers for money, which is just a thing you did at this time.
Yeah, I mean,
and so he prize fighting is illegal in Texas at this time, but he's doing it. He's fighting people for money. Like he'll work on the docks, and then, I mean, I can think of several coworkers I would love to just whale right in the face, but from my past. But he's doing that. And at this time, boxing is becoming popular. We are looking at 1898. Like you said, the Civil War. Jack Johnson's father fought in the Civil War. And this is a time in which boxing is starting to become, we're getting away from the bare knuckle boxing. We're getting into prize fighting with boxing gloves. And it's the most popular sport in America at the time.
Yeah, and that's hugely thanks to, John Sullivan, who was the first heavyweight champion of the world. And he's really the guy who turned it into this like peak of masculinity. Like if you were the heavyweight champion, you were up there on par with the president, famous generals, like you were the man. And he's greatly one of the people that kind of put it in that position.
Absolutely. And I've written about John Sullivan in the past, and I'd like to do an article on him as well, because he started as a bare knuckle boxer and then kind of transitioned it into glove boxing as we know today. So this is the most popular sport in the U.S. at the time. Football isn't really a thing. This is the early like dead ball era of baseball. Basketball, I don't even know if it's been invented yet at this point. But so people are getting together to watch sports. They want to watch boxing. And Jack Johnson, he wants to get in on this. He starts, with like prize fighting against dock workers, people in Galveston, and he's good at it. So he starts to try to do what he can to develop himself as a fighter. He needs sparring partners. He needs fighting. He needs experience. So he just basically gets on a train and starts riding around, traveling the country, looking for sparring partners. He works as a janitor at various gyms, doing whatever he can. He'll show up at a boxing gym and be like, give me some work to do. I'll do it. But I also want to be able to train here. And so he's traveling all over the world for this, or all over the U.S. He's fighting, and it's going well for him. He's a good fighter early on. And one thing that separates Jack Johnson from some other fighters at the time is that he's fighting for he's fighting other black boxers, but he's fighting white boxers as well. And not only is this not a time period in which this is very common, it's also important to remember that boxing, if you don't knock the other guy out, you have to win by decision, and the judges don't want you to win, right? It's rigged against you.
Yeah, and I mean, at this time, if a black boxer is fighting a white boxer, they're expected to take a dive. Because really, what was happening at this time is a lot of the African American boxers were better. Like, a lot of them could win, but it was just expected and known. You take a dive or you make a deal before the fight to go down in a certain round, and then you get paid and no one hurts you or your family after. And that was kind of how it went. And Jack Johnson was one of the first people to be like, I don't care.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think that, because so much of early boxing is gambling. There's a lot of gambling money associated with boxing, and you get those elements involved here. And like we said, it's a judged sport, and what you said is absolutely true. You go down in the seventh.
Yep.
And everybody will be happy. Everybody will make money, and there'll be no problem. And Jack Johnson says, no, I don't want to do that. I want to win. I want to be the champion. I'm better than these guys. I'm not going to take a fall for them. So in 1899, he defeats one of the best black boxers in America. He defeats the Black Hercules in 5 rounds. And he takes out a guy named Jim Scanlon, who was a white boxer who was very famous at the time. And he starts getting a reputation for himself. And at one point, word starts to get out that this guy is winning a lot of fights and he's getting this reputation. So there's a white boxer known as Chrysanthemum Joe Choyinski.
I gotta say, the nicknames back then are so much better.
Are so good. The Black Hercules, Chrysanthemum Joe. It's great, right?
I mean,
Jack Johnson's the Galveston Giant.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So Chrysanthemum Joe comes to Galveston to fight Jack Johnson, and they're fighting. And early on in the bout, the fight is broken up by Texas Rangers, who storm the ring and break up the fight because boxing is illegal in Texas. Not that ever stops Jack Johnson from doing it, but the two guys get thrown in prison. And at some point, like, they're in a jail cell together and they start sparring. And the Texas Rangers who have imprisoned them start charging admission to fans to come watch these two guys spar in prison.
Yeah, I mean,
is just
this is kind of like, it seems like it's almost out of a movie. Like, I know there's The Great White Hope, the like Broadway play and movie, but it's a lot of the beats in his life are set up like a perfect story arc. Like, he ends up in jail for a month with this great defensive boxer who he's going to box with, who eventually trains him to become a better defensive boxer, and he starts learning some moves from him. It's like the montage part.
Yes. Chrysanthemum Joe had come there to like you said, put him in his place, right? I'll defeat this guy, and was so impressed by the however many rounds he was able to go with him before the cops broke it up that they're sparring in prison, and he's like, oh no, look, let me show you something. Let me show you some moves, and that's kind of where Jack Johnson really refines his fighting style. So he's 6'1", 212 pounds. He's lean. He's super lean, mean. And he has, as you said, this perfect defense. And he kind of innovates defensive boxing. Instead of just getting out there and wailing on the other guy as hard as you can, he is, Chrysanthemum Joe at one point says to him, like, you're too fast to get hit. Like, you shouldn't be getting hit. And Jack Johnson takes that to heart. He's got long arms. He can outreach the other fighter. And there's one video of him, and like we said, there's not a lot of video of him, but there is one video of him fighting a guy where it's like Spaceballs, where he has his hand out and he puts it on the other guy's forehead.
Yeah.
And the other guy's swinging his arms and can't reach him. And Jack Johnson he's a showman. He's awesome to watch because he's holding this guy's head and the guy can't punch him. And Jack Johnson is like cheering to the crowd, like, look at this guy. He can't even hit me. He just wails him and knocks him out.
And I love it too, because like, even back then it's crazy because he's got gold teeth, and he's like, even in black and white, you could see him smiling and his teeth shining, and he's laughing. He's talking to the ladies in the front row.
Yes, it looks like he has a grill, but I think it's because his teeth were getting knocked out and he was getting them replaced.
Yeah.
with metal teeth.
Yeah.
So it's not a piece that goes over top. He's not showing off with it. He's just lost a lot of teeth fighting, and he's getting them replaced with metal because they haven't invented porcelain tooth replacements
Exactly.
yet,
It's
right?
like, wood some gold
or metal. Yes, let's make it gold. Great. He's confident. You watch him fight in these videos, and it is almost like professional wrestling. Like, he'll get punched and he'll start clapping for the other guy. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. Let's see if he can do it again. He's laughing at them. He'll like cheer to the crowd in the middle of a fight, which you never see in MMA. I guess you see it a little bit in MMA when you're first getting into the ring before the fight starts. But once the fight starts, you very rarely see an MMA guy or a boxer address the crowd directly.
Yeah, I mean, you got to stay locked in because, like, you're fighting someone who's at least pretty close to your talent level. But like we said before, he's so far above. He's like, let's let this go to the distance. I mean, people paid money to see this. Let's make sure this goes 10, 15 rounds.
It's what you said about trying to fight your uncle, and he's just like, "Yeah, this kid's pretty good, actually." And you're like, oh, "I'm gonna get you." Like, stop, take this seriously, stop. But as we said, he's a defensive fighter, and this is a strategy of his. Like, he would make, he would make them so angry that they'd make mistakes, and he'd be able to defeat them. And and the crowds, they don't. A lot of these crowds he's fighting for, if he's fighting a white fighter, he's fighting in some of these arenas are segregated. The entire crowd is white people who want him to lose. And he's cheering to the crowd, like, look at how awesome I am. And everybody is booing him. They hate him. And he just doesn't care. And this is 1908, and it's amazing to watch him kind of try to rile up the crowd. And they're all, it's like, I did an episode on the Iron Sheik, and I think about that a little bit, where everybody's showing up because they want to watch him lose, and he won't do it.
He was like the first person to really tap into like the villain, where it was like, you don't have to be adored. You can also get the same amount of publicity and like fire behind you by just talking trash and making people hate you, because they're still going to want to go see, because they desperately want someone to knock you out, and it just isn't going to happen.
Doesn't happen. Yes. In 1903, he wins the World Colored Heavyweight Championship. He defeats Denver Ed Martin and to win the belt. He defends it 12 times in his career and will hold the belt for 2,150 days, which is longer than anyone in the history of that belt, which doesn't exist anymore. But that's not what he's looking for. He wants to be the World Heavyweight Champion. He's the World Colored Heavyweight Champion, but he's better than these white fighters, and he wants everybody to know it. And the guy who holds the belt at the time is a boxer named Jim Jeffries. He is 19-0. He's never lost. He's never been knocked down. And he was famous for breaking the ribs of 3 different fighters while he was defending his title. Like, his body blows were so strong that he broke ribs, which really doesn't happen that much, no matter how hard these guys hit each other with boxing gloves. And the boxing gloves at this time were way crappier than they are now.
They're just basically leather mittens.
Right. But Jim Jeffries is not excited about getting punched in the face by Jack Johnson, and he says that he refuses to fight a black fighter for the title. Jack Johnson is badass, and Jack Johnson responds by challenging Jim Jeffries' younger brother to a match. Jeffries' younger brother is also a boxer, and they have a fight. Jeffries' little brother says okay. Jack Johnson just pummels him unconscious while Jim is sitting ringside. Then while like there's I think about that Ali photo where he's knocked the guy down, he's like screaming, that famous photo of Muhammad Ali, and like Jack Johnson knocks Jim Jeffries' little brother unconscious, like KOs him in a fight, then starts pointing at Jim Jeffries, who is sitting ringside, and being like, come on up here, I'll fight you right now.
One of the things I really, really love about this fight that I read was he shows up to the fight wearing this like really bright pink robe into the ring, which the LA Times said was belligerent pink, which I don't know if it's a Crayola box color, but that's pretty hilarious. And just the fact that he would like wear it reminds me of I don't know if you've done an episode on Judo Gene LaBelle, but he's another guy who wore like a pink kimono, and he was so tough he just did it. He was like, say something about it. Go ahead and say something about
it. You got a problem with that? It's Barbie pink. I like it. You got a problem with that? Jim Jeffries still won't fight him. So Jack Johnson goes off and fights 2 former white heavyweight champions of the world and thrashes both of them. There's a guy named Stanley Catchell. He's known as the Michigan Assassin. There's video of this fight, and Jack Johnson knocks him out, and you can see him like kind of shake 2 of the guy's teeth off his glove because he punched a guy in the face. 2 of his teeth came out, and he's kind of shaking and yeah, it's just amazing, right? And the crowd is unhappy that he's winning, but he's just stomping these guys. Jim Jeffries, of course, 19-0, never been knocked down, world heavyweight champion. Jack Johnson's like, you got to fight me. And Jeffries is like, I think I'm just probably going to retire. Actually,
I'm going to go to my alfalfa farm and drink whiskey.
Yes. Which is what he does. He vacates his title, and eventually it ends up with a Canadian guy named Tommy Burns. And Jack Johnson he's going full Clubber Lang at this point. He's going full Mr. T from Rocky 3. So he starts challenging Tommy Burns, like, okay, you're the champ now. Why don't you fight me? And Burns is like, also like, no, I don't think I want to fight. I don't think I want to fight you. And Jack Johnson responds by taking out newspaper ads, insulting Tommy Burns and challenging him to a fight.
I mean, he basically spends his entire money that he's made up there taking out ads, following this guy around the world.
Yes.
Which is exactly what Mr. T's doing in Rocky. Just showing up wherever he is and being like, hey, man, why won't you fight me?
Tommy Burns he leaves the US, he goes to London and Paris and is fighting there, defending his title. And every time he's in some arena in London or in Paris, when he's knocked out the other guy, Jack Johnson is sitting there ringside like, all right, come on, I'm ready to fight you now. Anytime he's leaving, he's going to get to his car or whatever, Jack Johnson's like, hey buddy, what's up? You ready to fight yet or what? Eventually there is a fight promoter named Huge Deal McIntosh.
Again, great name.
Amazing. We need more names like this. I love epithets. I love nicknames. So Huge Deal McIntosh, he is from Australia, and he offers Tommy Burns $30,000 to fight Jack Johnson. Jack is offered $5,000 for the fight, but Tommy's offered $30,000, and they're gonna fight. Finally, the price is right. I don't know what $30,000 is worth in 1908, but it's probably like a lot of money. And they're gonna fight in front of a sold out crowd, 20,000 people in Melbourne, Australia. The fight is set for December 26th, 1908, which is Boxing Day in Sydney.
It sure is.
They call it Boxing Day because Christmas is the 25th, and then on the 26th, you put all the presents you didn't want into boxes and send them back, return them and stuff. That's why it's called Boxing Day. But it's a double thing here, so we're going with Boxing Day. Okay, so Jack Johnson is going to fight Tommy Burns in front of an all-white crowd of 20,000 people that hate him. The newspapers hate him. They start referring to Tommy Burns as the champion of the white race. Jack is portrayed in newspaper comics, caricatured as a monkey. They print a bunch of slurs about him that we're not going to repeat on this show. They misquote him. They take quotes from him and they make him sound dumber when they because he's a well-spoken guy.
Absolutely.
And they give him this when they do quote unquote quotes of him. They give him this bad broken English that just it's horrible. It's just absolutely.
And they also
reprehensible.
Constantly calling him a coward, and he has a yellow streak, which is hilarious because Tommy Burns has been running from him.
Yes,
the entire time until they finally put up the money that he couldn't say no to.
Exactly. And so anyway, they're going to fight, and the fight begins, and there is video of some of this, because Jack Johnson pummels burns horribly, beats him so badly that the police stop the fight because I guess because the boxing match is running a line between professional sports and involuntary manslaughter.
Well, and also you can see in the video, it stops like right as he's about to knock him out. And one of the reasons they stopped the film is because this is the beginning of film. Like, this is the early days of them showing movies, like in little sideshows and stuff. And they didn't want that movie to be able to be sold. So they cut it off so that none of them can make money off it. And they just didn't want people watching this savage ass whooping.
Yes, the police forced the TV camera crew to turn off the cameras, and they were broadcasting, and so they forced them to turn off the cameras because they didn't want the population of America to watch a white world champion get knocked out.
Because it's one thing to just hear like, oh man, he lost to an African American guy, but it's like, no, he beat the crap out of him. He didn't land a punch on Jack Johnson, not even close.
No, it wasn't close, and he was knocked out. It's sad now because we're deprived the video of this moment, right? This is a big sports moment, and they did cut that on purpose to deprive us of that footage. That was premeditated. America, like, flips out.
Yeah, to say the least.
Jack starts getting death threats. They're like Southern ministers calling for him to be lynched. Local cops are barring him from coming to towns. Every time, like, he's pictured in the newspaper going to the opera with a white woman, everybody's eyes explode and they have aneurysms. It's hard to wrap your head around this now, but like, this is like plagues of locusts and frogs as far as the newspapers in America are concerned. But like you said, there's no bad press, and Jack Johnson is getting more newspaper coverage than contemporary, like, civil rights leaders. He's getting more press coverage than W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, both of whom are alive at this time and doing the things that they're famous for.
Who didn't like him, by the way.
Who did not like him, no. Nobody really liked Jack Johnson, but he didn't care. He just wanted to win. He just wanted to make money and beat people up, and he was excellent at both of these things. He was the greatest athlete in America at this time, and there was no way to spin this. There was no way to, like, kind of apply weird logic or whatever. There's no denying this, and people just couldn't handle it. There was no YouTube video you could make about Jack Johnson in 1908 that was like, he's not that good. It turns out, like, when you look at the sabermetrics, he's really, like, not the best. And yeah, I mean, you think he's not the best? Who do you got? Because send somebody up here and he's gonna knock him out.
And that's the thing, is they have nothing at this time. They start, like, pulling in, like, circus strongmen, like, everyone they can. If there's a boy that's 16 years or older and they're over 6 foot tall, they're like, hey man,
you want to try for the belt?
Yeah.
You want to get punched unconscious?
Yeah, like, no,
they're the greatest boxer that has ever lived. Yeah, and if you thought Jack Johnson was a showman before, get ready, because he's buying fast cars, he's buying nice clothes, he's going out with white women, which drives everybody completely berserk at this time period. And you read things about him in the newspaper. You can see video of him, but it doesn't do it justice, because even, like you said, with the gold teeth, like, it's a black and white footage, so it's hard to tell. You can see some pictures and some videos of him, but he's wearing, like, golden, like, hats, like a Scrooge McDuck hat, like, but it's gold, and he's wearing, like, golden suits. He's wearing crocodile shoes. He is driving these, like, bright yellow hot rods. So I feel like you said, with the belligerent pink outfit, I think there's a huge color component to Jack Johnson's wardrobe that is lost to history because we didn't have color photographs or video at the time. And I think it doesn't do him justice. But he's driving everybody crazy. And he's still undefeated. He's never been knocked down. So what are they going to do? Nobody can fight him. Okay, we need, as we said, a great white hope. Who's that going to be? Well, what about Jim Jeffries? What about that former world champion who had never been knocked down and broke 3 guys' ribs? Can we get him out of retirement and maybe have him fight Jack Johnson? Maybe you can beat him. You've never been knocked down, right?
Mm-hmm. And at this time, he's on his farm. He's drinking. I think he's like plus 300 pounds. He's in no condition to be fighting Jack Johnson.
Yes. And okay, well, it's time to hit the gym because the fight is scheduled for the 4th of July, 1910. Jim Jeffries decides, okay, maybe I'm not too cool to fight the world heavyweight champion. And they're going to bill it as the fight of the century, and it's going to happen in Reno because the governor of California was like, I don't want this fight to happen in my state. So they moved it to Reno. It was
Which
going to be in
is
San
a great
Francisco.
place for the fight.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. We're going to take one more quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the fight of the century. Mighty Jim Jeffries, the great white hope, going into the ring against the Galveston giant, Jack Johnson. And I'm just going to let you guys guess what happens. Okay, welcome back. We are here with Mike Primavera, and we are talking about the fight of the century, July 4th, 1910. Jim Jeffries, the great white hope, has come out of retirement to fight Jack Johnson, the Galveston giant, to try to reclaim his title and reclaim whatever it is that the media at this time wants him to reclaim. So they're going to fight in Reno in front of a rabid crowd of 22,000 people, most of them white people cheering for Jeffries. The stadium is outside because they don't have stadium lighting yet. And there are people around the world who are so interested in what's going to happen here that they are gathered around in various. So we see this when you see the Super Bowl or the World Series, live from Times Square, live from Madison Square Garden, and people are all getting together to watch it on TV and cheer for it. This is like it seems like such a worse version of this because there's no TV, there's no radio. They're waiting for like news to come through via telegraph. So they're standing outside telegraph stations in New York City. 20,000 people are in Times Square. 30,000 people are in Times Square, standing outside the telegraph station, waiting for the telegraph to come in. It's like Johnson wins. And that's the telegraph.
Well, there was even a couple places where they hired like a black actor and a white actor to like box while the play-by-play came in and kind of try to act it out. But I was thinking like at that time that could not have been very good or accurate.
Oh, I heard about that. Yes, they staged fake. You had to recreate boxing
to
match,
give them something.
But there was nothing. They had no information. The information was not coming in fast enough for them to be like, because I mean, what do? The telegraph comes in and the telegraph operator is like, Johnson's winning. And then the two actors have to be like, okay, well, I think I can do that. Okay, so Jeffries arrives. He's not in good shape. Like you said, he was on the alfalfa farm drinking whiskey. He's trying to get back in shape, but it's a project. And
people are
as
still,
we all know,
the entire crowd is still betting on him. And there's all this lore around him, like that he has a pet grizzly bear. There's a rumor that he once drank 2 cases of whiskey in a day to cure himself of pneumonia. Which I love. As a reformed alcoholic who drank a lot of whiskey, I never got pneumonia, so maybe there's something to that.
You're gonna fall off the wagon the next time you get COVID.
Exactly. Well, I know what this will take.
Time to get back to business. So, okay, yeah, he's gonna come back and he's gonna fight. As we all know, that as you get older, it becomes harder and harder to get back into shape when you let yourself go. And Jim Jeffries comes in and everybody's cheering, and Jack Johnson enters the ring just smiling. He's just happy. He showed up. He's so much bigger than Jim Jeffries, who was a big guy.
Yeah.
And you just look at these, he's so much bigger than these guys he's fighting. And immediately, like, they get into the clutch, and Jack Johnson's just laughing in Jim's ear. And you can just, he's got this big smile, even on the sepia tone, black and white, 5 frames per second video. He's just laughing and just like, what is this?
And you can see on Jeffrey's face too. In that first round, he's like, God damn it.
Yeah, this is
I'm in
not
trouble.
what I should not have agreed to this.
Yeah.
I would much rather be drinking whiskey on my alfalfa farm right now.
Yeah.
I'd rather have pneumonia. So Jack Johnson comes in, not only gives Jeffries the first knockdown of his career, he beats his ass. And there's a great scene in this where he knocks him down 3 times in a round. In the 15th round, he knocks him down 3 times in the round. First time he knocks him down, Jeffries is just like, he's kind of struggles to get back up. Johnson hits him one more time. He goes down again, and he's just laying there. And like, not only dudes from his corner, but like dudes in the crowd come up onto the stage and pick him back up again. Like 5
that
dudes.
knockdown, he literally knocked him out of the ring. Like, he's hanging over the ropes, and these guys pick him up.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
Like, his own guys in the ring, like his own guys in his corner, but like spectators come and grab him and stand him back up again. Like, no, you're good, bud. You're going to be fine. And then Jack Johnson hits him one more time, and there's no way he's getting up from that. They throw in the towel, and that's the end of it. And Jeffries, for all of his reticence to fight Jack Johnson, he says, quote, I could never have whipped Johnson at my best. I couldn't have hit him. No, I couldn't have reached him in 1,000 years. And
which, to his credit, I mean, at least he admitted it. And another thing about these fights is, like you said, there's no lighting yet. These are like 20, 30 round fights in 100-degree weather. Like, it's not an air conditioned Madison Square Garden. Like, this is crazy that they're doing
no Gatorade.
All this.
You're getting splashed in the face with water.
Yeah, bucket water.
Yeah, it's a bucket of river water. and that's the end of Jim Jeffries. He's done for. That's the last fight of his career. Yeah. And Jack Johnson is and the crazy thing to hear about, because you watch the video and you're like, oh, cool. And a lot of times when you see videos of this, it's got music behind, because there's no sound, right? They're not recording sound. So when you see the videos, they put music behind it, or they try to do some kind of, fight sound effects or whatever. But what you lose in that absence of sound is that, according to the people who were there, when Jack Johnson knocks out Jim Jeffries, the stadium is 20,000 people and it is quiet. It is like, it was like a funeral. Like, nobody's happy about this. Everybody wanted Johnson to lose.
You see the video of them walking out, and it looks like people exiting a funeral. Like someone.
They're not booing. Died. They're not like, they don't even have the energy to like be angry or upset or boo or whatever. They're just in shock, because everything that they have been told, all propaganda their entire lives, has told them that what they've just seen is absolutely impossible. And Jack Johnson knocks this guy out, and for them it's just shock and awe. They can't handle it. It breaks their brains. Because
again, it wasn't even close. Like, this is supposed to be the greatest heavyweight boxer in the world that has ever lived, and he couldn't touch Jack Johnson, not even a little bit.
Couldn't hit him. Yeah, didn't land a punch in 15 rounds. And that's it. So Jack Johnson's the champ. And for the next 6 years, he's the champ, and he fights everybody, and he wins. He beats everyone. There's a story that he wins a fight with a broken right arm, only punching with his left. There's a time that the world middleweight champion added some bulk to try to like punch up his weight and fight for the heavyweight title, and Johnson hits him in the face and knocks 5 of his teeth out. So Johnson becomes this ultimate sports celebrity. He is living in New York City. He's attending operas. He's going to jazz clubs. He apparently knew a lot about Napoleon. He was like a big history book reader.
He was a big Napoleon fan.
Huge Napoleon fan. And he owned a nightclub where people like Judy Garland would come watch music legends like Louis Armstrong play jazz music. So, I mean...
Yeah, that club eventually became the Cotton Club.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dang. So yeah, I mean, he was getting like the biggest acts of in jazz at the time to come, and this is like the height of jazz. This is the 1910s, 1920s, and he's just like, I'm awesome. He's drinking, he's gambling, he's going fast cars. He loves women. He's driving. He drives fast. He is like the ultimate movie star, sports hero, celebrity, and he's just going for it, and everyone hates it. Everyone is going crazy.
Yeah. And he's just having the time of his life.
Mm-hmm. At a time when there is still segregation in the U.S. at this time. There's still like like as you mentioned, there are lynchings. There are this is a really difficult time in the civil rights process, and there's a story that he's driving through some southern town. He's going, I don't know what the top speed of that yellow hot rod was, but it's fast for the time. I bet that thing gets 100 miles an hour. He was going fast through this southern town, and he got pulled over, and they gave him a $50 ticket for speeding, which is normal now, but that was just outrageously high amount of money at the time. I don't know what the conversion is from $1910 to today, but it's probably several $100s now.
Yeah.
And when he gets this ticket, he just kind of reaches into his pocket, pulls out a wad of cash, peels off a $100 bill, throws it to the cop, and is like, keep it, because I'm going to come back this way.
Yeah. And this is in Georgia that this happened, which is nuts. Like, it's not like this was New York City or Chicago. This was Georgia, where
they'll bring you in. They'll arrest you for that, right? Right. Yeah, they will shoot you and say that you were resisting arrest or something, right? And he just does not care. He just goes for it. And he's, like you said, he's the bravest man in America at this time.
And which is crazy because he's getting hate from not just white people, but like people like Booker T. Washington, W. Du Bois, like they're pretty angry with him too, because they're like, keep your head down. Like, well, you can further the black race just by working hard and sticking with the program. And he's like, nah, I'm going to get mine. I don't care. I'm going to drive fast cars and drink and have white women.
Right. And they talk about, so the next great, so Joe Louis follows him, and Joe Louis kind of followed that plan a little bit. And Jack Johnson did not like Joe Louis because he's like, whatever, just, you make a bunch of money, just do the thing, right? Just enjoy your life. And, he caused a lot of trouble. And he, there is, when he's winning a lot of these fights, there are riots and stuff. People are so angry that he's winning fights that there is like violence in the streets when he beats Jim Jeffries. Something like 20 people are killed across the United States, white and black, in race riots.
Race riots everywhere. So much so that they were really trying to introduce legislation to make boxing completely illegal. Because they were like, we can't have this happen again. Which really, it was just to stop Jack Johnson. But they were like, those race riots were so bad. They're like, all right, we can't have this happen ever again.
Right. And so in 1911, he marries a white woman, which is interracial marriage at this time is outlawed in 30 states. But he marries Etta Duryea, and she is disowned by her family and all of her friends for marrying him. Her life gets really hard. Jack Johnson is not like he's a badass fighter, and there's a lot of badass things about him. He solves all his
problems with his fists, pretty much.
Yes, he's not a good husband for her. He's not a faithful husband, and there's stories that he hit her, and she shoots herself in 1912. Okay, so then he marries a different white woman, Lucille Cameron. She's 18 and he's 34, and Lucille's mom goes around telling everybody that she was hypnotized and kidnapped by him. Mm-hmm. And the police go to her and they say, have you been hypnotized and kidnapped by Jack Johnson? She says, no, I like him. He's great. And so the police arrest her and throw her into a mental health institution because there's something obviously wrong with her. That
can't be right.
That can't be true. Great. This is a depressing part of our story, but we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, this is the point where it's like literally you've thrown every white boxer you can. Nobody can beat him. So they're like, how can we get this guy any other way?
We got to
They've
get
given
him.
up on trying to have someone beat him up. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. So, okay, they eventually find a woman named Belle Schreiber, a former lover of Jack Johnson, to say that he paid her to drive across state lines to have sex with her, which is a crime under the Mann Act. Transporting women across state lines for immoral purposes is illegal at this time and still is today. I think that's what they got Diddy Combs on.
It's a very vague law that allows a lot of foolery.
Yes. So the judge on this trial is Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who is famously will become the commissioner of Major League Baseball, who dedicates his entire life to keeping black athletes out of Major League Baseball.
He's a real jerk.
He's a real piece of something. Yeah. There's a trial determining whether Jack Johnson transported women across state lines for immoral purposes. The jury is 100% white, and it takes them 2 hours to reach a verdict. They convict Jack Johnson of doing bad things, and they sentence him to 1 year and 1 day in prison. So, what does he do?
He gets bail, and he immediately gets out of the U.S. and goes to Canada.
Yes, he goes on the
Which
run.
I think is a good call.
That was totally a right call. He goes to Europe. He keeps on fighting. He keeps on defending his heavyweight title in Europe.
Yeah.
Him and Lucille flee the country, and he spends the next 7 years fighting in Paris, Buenos Aires, Madrid, Mexico City. He is still the reigning heavyweight champion of the world while a fugitive from justice.
Which just makes him even more badass.
Which makes him even more badass, right? He's traveling the world. He's performing vaudeville shows and jazz music because he's apparently was a great singer and comedian. He still is defending his title, and yeah, it's amazing.
Well, and another thing is, like, this is the part of his life where he actually starts overlapping with, like, other famous people from history. Like, he goes to Russia. He's a guest of Tsar Nicholas, where he meets Rasputin at some point. He fights this Russian wrestler, and both of them end up not getting paid because the next day Franz Ferdinand gets shot. And World War I starts, and the guy that's supposed to pay them gets drafted.
You told me that the French named something after him.
Yeah, they had an artillery shell called Le Jack Johnson because it blew up with a big plume of smoke and destroyed everything around it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jack Johnson, he's doing this. He's traveling the world, fighting all across the world, and eventually in 1915 he ends up in Havana. He's 37 years old now, which is old for most professional sports. 37-year-old world champion at anything is actually as depressing as it is for me to say, as somebody who is older than 37 years old. When I create characters for myself in the NHL video game, I have to downgrade I have to say that I was born 15 years after I was, because otherwise my stats go down every year and I retire.
That hurts,
or whatever.
doesn't it? When you're watching sports
fun.
And you see some guy who's like 27, they're like, oh, the end of his career. And you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You're like, oh, Verlander's still pitching. That guy's got to be so old. And you're like, oh, wait, I'm older than that guy.
Yeah.
Shoot. He's had an entire Hall of Fame career. And I'm still recording this podcast. So 37 is old for a fighter, and he gets into a fight in Havana against a guy named Jess Willard, who is 10 years, 15 years younger than him. They go 26 rounds in 108-degree heat with 100% humidity, and Johnson loses. He gets knocked out. There won't be another African American heavyweight champion for over a decade until we get Joe Louis, over 2 decades. And we get Joe Louis 22 years later, who we talked about, and we will do probably an episode on in the future because Joe Louis is also awesome.
Yeah.
Joe Louis has one of my favorite quotes of all time. He says, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face."
That's right.
Just great. So now that his title reign is over, Jack Johnson goes home and surrenders himself to the authorities so that he can serve his 1 year and 1 day in prison. And you'd think, being a huge celebrity, a big sports hero, all that stuff, he's got to go to Leavenworth, and he's got to serve his term in prison. And he again finds himself, like, he gets a job at prison as an umpire for baseball games, but he'll also do boxing exhibitions. And he's 38 years old, and he's doing boxing exhibitions against fellow inmates. He stomps them all. He's great. But he also, while he's in there, he invents some sort of wrench.
Yeah, he's got an actual patent for like a wrench for working on the cars that he likes to drive, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. All right. He invented something. That's cool. He gets out and continues fighting. He gets banned from boxing in Kansas for fighting illegally, but he continues boxing until there are stories of him having exhibition bouts at the age of, like, when he's in his 60s. He's still fighting people.
Yeah, I've heard fun stories about him being in his 60s and just showing up at boxing gyms where, like, guys are training, and he just gets in there, like, puts his cane down and goes, "Go ahead, try to hit me." And, like, young boxers will try to hit him, and he'll just slap their hands away. So I don't know if any of them are true, but I just love the idea of, like, almost 70-year-old Jack Johnson standing there just, like, moving his head, not being able to get hit. You can't beat me. You
can't hit me. I bet you can't hit me. Yeah, and he would. That's amazing. So he still had it. He continues to box. He finally in June of 1946, he is in North Carolina, and he tries to go into a diner. And the diner, and this is 46. He was the world heavyweight champion in 1908, and in 1946, it's almost 40 years later, he still can't get a cup of coffee at a diner because he's black. Mm-hmm. And he's so pissed off about this that he gets in his hot rod and he starts driving it as fast as he can, and he loses control. He's going over 100 miles an hour, and he crashes into a tree and dies. His final official let me restart that. His final official boxing record is 79 wins, 8 losses with 46 knockouts, which is just absolutely unreal for statistics. This is
especially like when you consider that, like, these aren't like 12-round 3-minute rounds in air conditioning. Like, these are it's crazy that he fought as much as he did with leather gloves, like bad shoes.
Yes, 79-8, 46 knockouts. Most of his losses came after he was 40 years old, and there's, a lot of the fights that he had were not officially sanctioned or recorded. So there's a decent chance that he had many more wins and knockouts than are even recorded here. These are the kind of numbers that when you go on Baseball Reference and you're like, who stole them? Who has like the most doubles in a season? And there's some guy from like 1897 who hit like 340 doubles in a season or something.
Like, oh man, well, no one's ever going to get that.
Nobody's ever going to beat that, right? Yeah, you see some Walter Johnson numbers or something. just old Hoss Radburn winning 60 games in a season as a pitcher or whatever. And you're like, nobody's gonna beat this. This is just ridiculous, silly numbers that don't exist anymore in sports. But we don't know the full details of how many wins he had, because the first rule of Fight Club is that you don't talk about Fight Club, I guess. He is an inspiration for future boxers. Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali famously once said, like, Jack Johnson was the original me.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get Muhammad Ali or like Floyd Mayweather, any of those guys without Jack Johnson. Like, he laid the foundation for real.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, he predates Jackie Robinson by 40 years. He predates a lot of really groundbreaking pioneers by 1908, right? Like, his father was born like before the Civil War, and he's one of the greatest boxers ever. He's got Miles Davis wrote songs about him, and so did Mos Def, right? Mm-hmm. You'd mentioned The Great White Hope, which is a very famous play, stage production, where he is portrayed, well, a character that is sort of like him is portrayed by James Earl Jones. who received a Tony Award for the performance. I think Stallone once said that Apollo Creed was kind of based off Jack Johnson, although I think Clubber Lang, he's got more Clubber Lang vibes to me.
And really, it's wild to me that nobody's made a movie again. Like, this just seems like it would make such a good movie.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Get a Michael B. Jordan to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there became this kind of weirdly bipartisan movement to like absolve him of that like totally BS conviction that he had. The people who are attached to this campaign are ranged from Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson to John McCain and Sylvester Stallone. Eventually in 2018, many years after his death, Jack Johnson receives a presidential pardon for his conviction. So it has been stricken from his official record for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
He is part of the inaugural class of the Boxing Hall of Fame when that opens in 1990. And today he is buried in Chicago next to his first wife, Etta Drea, and there is a statue of him in Galveston, where he's from. And I also, if you're interested in Jack Johnson, I highly recommend Ken Burns's Unforgivable Blackness. It's a documentary about him that is absolutely must watch if any of this sounds interesting to you.
Yeah, it's really great.
Amazing. So that's the story of Jack Johnson, one of the greatest boxers ever, and one of these people that just was a man from another time. And
bigger than his era.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Mike, I guess I usually like to end these by asking, what's the badass lesson that we learn from the story of Jack Johnson? What's the takeaway here?
I think it's you don't let anyone write your history for you. You just you go ahead and pave your own path, even when everyone else in the world is telling you no. You go forward with what you think is right.
That's really the crux of badass, right? Everything we talk about on this show is somebody who has obstacles in front of them and they don't stop. They bust through a brick wall. And this guy literally just punched his way through every obstacle that was in front of him. And he didn't let people tell him what he should be and where he should be and how he should live his life. He did whatever he wanted to do, and he had a good time, and he loved his life. And if anybody had a problem with that, they could go 15 rounds with him.
Yeah, exactly. They could settle it in the ring.
Yep. Okay, Mike, thank you so much for coming on and helping me tell this story. I think this was really fun, and I really enjoyed having you on here.
Yeah, this was great, man. Thank you.
Yes. And so where can people find your work if they want to read more of your stuff?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Primawesome, or you can Google Pleated Jeans. That's the site I run. And that's where all my stuff is. You should check it out.
Cool. All right, Mike, thank you so much for being on here. And thanks to all of you for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do all the stuff you're supposed to do when you like an episode to help us out with our ratings and all of that. We appreciate it. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode. Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content. Executive producers are me, Ben Thompson, Dr. Patricia Larish, and Andrew Jacobs. Writing is by me and Pat. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Mixing and music and sound design by Jude Brewer. Special thanks to Noel Brown at iHeartRadio. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, and tell your friends and tell your enemies. And please leave us a rating. We'll be back next week with another one.